Hello and welcome to the Transformational Speakers Podcast. I'm your host, Erin Lohman-Jeck, and today I am so honored to have one of my best friends in the world, my soul brother, Dr. Morgan Oakes, here with us. Dr. Morgan is a transformational speaker, a high-performance coach, spiritual mentor, and a chiropractor whose passion is empowering people to live their best lives. He's a gifted visionary with a holistic view, and Morgan inspires audiences and clients to develop and trust their intuition, integrate their life wisdom, and cultivate the courage to live a life of inspired action. His goal is to take people from where they are to where their body, mind, and soul are calling them to be. So please let me introduce Dr. Morgan Oakes. Thank you for being here.
Hey, it's nice to be here with you.
Well, I'm super excited because for people who don't know, we met in a seminar in California. We both live in Seattle, and there were so many connections that we had that we didn't even realize sitting side by side at a Brendan Burchard event. So you never know.
It's funny how far you have to fly to meet somebody from your hometown sometimes. So
right. So I'm super excited because we have gone on such a journey in the last, is it 2-3 years now?
It's almost 3, yeah.
Oh, wow. And just watching each other grow and blossom. I mean, when you started this, you were just a chiropractor and working on, your holistic side and your shaman stuff and all of that. And you're like, wait, but I want to do that. And so we both about the same time were like, ooh, speaking, we need to start doing that more.
Yeah.
So I love it.
Yeah, it feels like lifetimes ago.
It does. It really does. And then we met, and that same event, we met some of the other parts of our soul tribe, and we have been a soul family ever since. And I'm so grateful to have you in my life and to have them in my life. And I'm just excited to share you with my audience. So tell us who you are, where you came from, where did this come from for you? Because I love that your story is so like, well, I started way over here and now I'm over here. So tell us a little bit more about that.
Yeah, the short answer to that is probably that I'm somebody that's just really driven on never settling. Whenever something becomes something that no longer is actually me anymore, then I try to get clear about that and move on. So I started tiny town in Wyoming, became a mechanical engineer, left that to become a chiropractor, kept integrating all these things into chiropractic, physical therapy and neurolinguistic programming. And just each thing I'm like, oh, there's more. Oh, but wait, there's like, it chops Daishes and Julianne, but wait, there's more. And so I've just, I think, really been good at following what's been true to my heart and have just kept moving forward with that. And then I integrated, energy work and shamanic healing and spiritual mentorship. And at one point was doing stand-up comedy and thought about moving to LA to really go after that. And I'm like, I don't want a bunch of off-color jokes discrediting some really deep heart, based messages that I'm wanting to share. And so that's when I started looking at professional speaking and became a high performance coach. And I'm trying to get really clear about what my gifts are and do those. And then the things that aren't my gifts, I'm also getting much, much better at referring out to amazing people like you that you're in your niche, you're in your lane, you're great at what you do. And if anybody's wanting help with their speaking, I'm like, oh my gosh, just go talk to Erin. So I'm, getting very, very clear about what my lane is and then getting really good at just referring people elsewhere so that whatever their dream is, I can be somebody that's helping get them in touch with that.
I love that. And I love the way that you look at spirituality, because it was one of the things that it stood out most to me was that you have your own language and you call it the language of dude. So can you explain, you did a whole TEDx on it. It was amazing. So tell us this language of dude a little bit.
Yeah. So I would say around the time of my spiritual awakening, I was having these intuitions show up and I was meeting these really interesting people. I was hearing words I had never heard before and life was getting very different. And, the word God at that time didn't really resonate with me. The word spirit applied to a couple soul sisters I knew in Colorado. And so I'm like, this communication is definitely happening and it's showing up like a friendship, like there was joking around involved and kind of like I told you so type situations. And so I'm like, well, I'm basically learning a language. I'm needing to get better at listening to how these intuitions and synchronicities come in. And I'm like, what was coming to me was like, dude, what's happening right now? And so it was really like this like fun relationship with these pieces coming in. So it was learning the language of, dude, how do I really get good at listening to those intuitions and synchronicities so I can, be utilizing that cheat sheet for life.
And I think that's amazing, because I think for a lot of people, they hear the word God and they put their fingers in there, and then you use universe, and some people are like, but I love that you take a word that we all use, and I call people dude all the time. Like, it's so normal for me. Hey, dudes, what's up?
Yeah.
And so you make it fun and playful. So it doesn't have to look a certain way to fit in anyone's box. It can fit. You can use that in any religion, any belief system. It doesn't really matter, because it makes it more fun and enjoyable.
Yeah. And I think with like what I pulled together research wise for my TEDx, like everybody has words around it. Mom's got eyes in the back of her head. I wouldn't touch that with a 10-foot pole. Gut instinct. We've all had those experiences where somebody's staring at us and we feel it, and we turn around and we make eye contact with the person that was doing it. Like, there's so much of it that's so like experiential based, so reality based. We all know about it and have heard about it. So if we let go of the nomenclature, if we let go of those words and just, get in touch with the reality of it, then I think it makes it a little bit more palatable for more people. So, and certainly that's why I did it for myself. It was real, it was happening, and I needed it to fit into my life in a good way.
Yeah, and I think it's true, because like the thing that I think people don't realize is, maybe you're in a room full of people and you get an intuitive hit like, ooh, I don't know about that person, or, oh, what's going on over there? Or all of a sudden I'm angry and I was not angry, right? And so it's, what is that, right? A lot of people that don't grow up knowing that we can actually feel each other, and, that kind of thing, that people can be, you can just take it in and not even realize that it's you, that it's that person, that you don't realize it's not you, it's them, but now you're taking it on as you. And so it all feels the same, even though it was never yours to play with. And so I think that intuition as well is like, is this person somebody I really want to spend time with? And feeling that out, like you and I sitting side by side at an event, right? I'm sure there was somebody on my other side, because I remember we were like in the middle of an aisle.
We were in the middle of like 1,000 people. So yeah, we were definitely surrounded by other people we could have connected with at that time.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, well that attracts me. And the thing I always do, like the reason I remember meeting Holly and Debbie is they were big, bright, beautiful, golden girls sitting in front of the door in the purple doorway. And the next morning I showed up a little early and they were sitting on the floor, ready front row to go in. And I just was like, you two look like the cool kids. Can we talk? Like, I want to be a cool kid. And they just immediately were like instant best friends, right? And so listening to that intuitive piece of like, oh, that person over there, I know I need to meet that person. I don't know why, but that person, right? So how do you teach people to use that intuitive beingness of like looking at synchronicities, I always like to say, if you see somebody wearing clothes that you have in your closet, there is a reason why you see it, because the universe is like, oh yeah, right there, that person, go talk to them. So how do you teach people to do that kind of thing?
Yeah, I think one of the first things I have people do is just slow down. We're in such a Nike just do it society. The US is a very masculine, dynamic, always in motion, forward momentum society, to a point where we'll skip over a lot of the telltale signs. And then later on, people say things like, oh, I knew that wasn't going to work out. I knew that wasn't the deal for me. I knew there was something off about that person, but we're moving so fast that we ignore it. So I think the first way is just to really slow down and be present. And, it comes into us in a number of different ways. We've got, when you learn like neurolinguistic programming, they'll talk about visual, auditory, kinesthetic, right? So some people will visually like get a flash of like, oh, this reminds me of this either positive or negative thing that happened in the past, right? Or some people will get auditory. They'll hear that little voice in their ear. And whenever I speak or share this, I'm like, and so for all of you in the crowd that are saying that I don't have a little voice inside my head, right now a little voice inside your head is telling you I don't have a little voice inside my head. So, some of us hear that voice. Some of us, our hair will stand up on the back of our neck, our chest will tighten up, we'll get a little bit sweaty, and so I think part of it's just slowing down and really trusting all these things that are already built into our world, and then start acting on that. So it's really slow down and listen, and then take action, and just keep listening and taking action. And a lot of times that'll probably open up a lot of it for people.
Yeah. And I think when you are also talking about, I mean, let's be honest, we're both coaches. When you're enrolling somebody, is this person a fit? And are you trying to make them fit because you need the cash flow? Or are they really your ideal audience kind of thing? And feeling that place. I think a lot of us go like like you were saying in America is it's like, well, no, I need the cash flow. This capitalism. I'm a coach. That's what I'm supposed to do. They came to me. I have to, and it's like, no. Listen, stop and listen. Because if you don't hear the little subtle hints that they're not the right person, or even the blatant ones, but even the subtle ones, you're going to get stuck in a coaching relationship with someone that you shouldn't be coaching, because it gets painful. Like, I've had it get painful. I'm like, why did I do this? Why didn't I just listen? Right. So It's also like doing that. So tell us a little bit about when you are like when you're speaking, when you're up there in front of the room and that energy with other people, how do you regulate that? And how do you really like deeply connect with those people? Because I think you do that really well. And I think for most people, it's a trained thing, but you do it, I think, unconsciously. So how do you do that when, say you're in front of the room at your event, because you just had an event last year and it was amazing. How do you connect with people like that?
Yeah. So I guess the question is, how do I unconsciously do something? Yeah, I can't wait to share that. So I think, and a lot of times I get the visuals. So what they're showing me is, in a romantic comedy, whether it's a TV show or a movie, and something happens and they don't communicate, and then like the whole rest of the episode or the movie is basically just clearing up one simple communication at the beginning of the movie. That's what you're describing. We all know when something goes a bit sideways or gets a bit weird, right? You show up, a friend acts weird, like, whatever it is. And especially from the stage or in an audience or a room, when something shifts, slow down and address it. It might be that your train's going 60 miles an hour and the audience is only going 50, right? Slow down, get them on board, be mirroring things back. Like, does this resonate? Does everybody get this? Something I noticed Brendan Burchard do the last time I saw him speak. For one basically takeaway, he gave 7 different examples. So for any of you in relationship, can you see how this applies? For any of you with kids, for any of you in business, for any of you around your own health or finances, for any of you, and he just kept mirroring it back. And it felt like he was just making sure everybody was on board the train, so that we could be moving forward. And I think, whether we're creating an event, whether we're on stage at an event, whether it's our event or somebody else's, paying attention to what's actually happening, you can meet people where they're at and then take them where you're wanting to go. If the event's already bouncing up here, join it. If the event is down here, you can't show up like this or you'll break rapport with people. So show up, meet them here, and start bumping them up and moving them. And it, you'll notice it with really gifted people, especially, I've been able to be behind the scenes at some events and, all right, here's the plan for the day. Here's what we're doing. And then at a certain point, and this, because I've seen this happen at your events as well, at a certain point, the audience needs something else, right? And so you break script and you deal with what's actually there. And that's where transformation happens. That's where breakthrough happens. That's where trust and rapport happen. And then everybody's back on board and you keep moving forward. So I think it's really just be real about what's there, slow down and address it, and then you can keep moving forward and actually have everybody on the same ride together.
Yeah. And I think if you're like in the audience as well, like if something can kick up something and you have resistance around, right? So we've all been in rooms where the resistance gets really heavy and everyone starts getting tired. Everyone starts checking out. Everyone just starts to feel agitated in their seat. And so, we've experienced this together a couple times and it's like, okay, if you don't set it up in a way that then you can actually see that as the person in front of the room, and shift it, right? What do you
Mhm.
do if you're sitting in the audience? What are some things that you have felt and you've done, and things that I've done that would really help some people? If you're sitting there and having your own resistance come up, you said stop, address it in yourself because it's something that you need to look at and recognize. But then what?
Yeah. One of the things I'll share with like my high performance coaching clients and with my spiritual clients is like, we are a mechanism. We need to know how to run ourselves, right? When the car is overheating, we know how to slow down. We know how to put on the gas, the brakes. We know how to do the windshield wipers. Like in our own car, we know how to take care of ourselves. And a lot of us in our own body, we don't, So how do I need to eat to get through the day so I'm vibrating high? If I get to that point and I make the mistake of eating like a bar of chocolate mid-afternoon, I know about an hour from then I'm in trouble, right? Because I've gone to like the worst case scenario. But if I can every break maybe get out in the sunshine, every break be breathing, or maybe go run up and down the stairs one time. Can I be, doing the things to keep me vibrating high throughout the day? Can I stay hydrated? Am I the things that are in my head that are really working me? I'll always have a side piece of paper. So I'm taking notes, but I've got a side piece of paper as a brain dump so I can let it go so I can stay present. And then let's say something comes up. Do you have the ability to like control your own mechanism, to control your own body? Like there's certain really discrete breathing tools that you can do if you're getting frantic and you're getting anxious, that you can slow things down. And real quickly, I mean, it's, like for me, I'll do a 4-second breath in, hold for 4 seconds, 8-second breath out, and then, maybe 2 to 4 seconds hold at the bottom, and then 4 seconds in again. So I'll use that type of thing to really slow down my thinking and my mind and lower anxiety. But if I'm getting tired and I need to raise my energy up, I'll speed my breathing up and do big belly breaths in through the nose, out through the mouth. I'll do it that way. So I think getting really clear about how to manage yourself in your day-to-day and your week-to-week. And then if you're in somebody else's event and that happens, there's a lot of things like that you can do at your own chair to like recenter, get your stuff under control, and maybe it's just going, oh, I know what this is about, and I'll take care of this a little bit later. I'm having a mommy or daddy issue bubble up based on the personal growth. I'm going to set this down and know that I'll take care of it, after the event today.
Yeah. I think people don't realize, like, when we do events, we really prepare ahead of time. So one of the things I love is that we get our little soul tribe to come in, my Speaker Success Summit, and we spend some time really setting some intentions, and in prayer, in an energy, in all of that. And something that I do that I don't know if, I don't think I've ever been taught it. I don't know where it came from, but it was totally a download that I went and did. And it was literally putting my hands on every single chair and just saying, whatever is the best and highest for everyone in this room gets what they're here to learn today. And just went and put that intention and energy into every seat. And when people walk in, they go, oh my gosh, I could feel you in the back of the room. I could feel you, and you hadn't even been in the room yet. You were still behind stage. Like, I think like even that piece of like really setting the intention, if it is your own event, if you're hosting something, even if it's a dinner party, go out there and put some extra love into the seats and into the people that are going to walk through your door. And I love that you set up ceremony around that too, about clearing the energy, setting it up so that it is a high vibe, that everyone walks in enlightened and loved. So tell us a little bit about how you do some of those things.
Yeah. And I think to kind of tie back to what we were saying earlier, like, we've been at an event before where it's going amazing. Like the personal growth and transformation is great. The speakers, top notch. And then at a certain point, everybody gets drugged down. Some people just feel heavy. Some people feel tired. Some people feel stressed or anxious. More intuitive types in the room are feeling like their chest tightening, and it was the fact that all this transformation was happening, but nobody was taking out the garbage, right? There wasn't anything built in to make sure that it was staying renewed and refreshed. And so, yeah, I love setting up ceremonies where it's about how do we make sure that everything's happening the way that it should, and sometimes it's, it's the stuff you're talking about in the beginning, which I love your you process with the chairs. Because I think it's the difference between a house and home, right? You can stage a house for sale, but nobody's ever sat on that couch, right? Versus a home that everything in there has been loved and really experienced. Like, that gets felt when people walk in. They can tell if it's a sterile environment or it's a place where love has been cultivated, right? Even if it's for a one-day event, even if it's for like a 90-minute event, just one evening, so the stuff that happens before the event is really important. We've got so many tools like visualization, and we've got energy stuff, and we've got, feng shui of the room. There's intentionality, then during the event, like those breaks are there for a reason, and it's kind of, I always think about like a dance club back when I used to actually go do that. Like, there's times where the song's really high and the crowd's jumping and everybody's into it, and then the energy slows down, right? And that's the slow dancing, and that's where it becomes a little closer, and it's more about being one-on-one, but then the energy comes back up. And so if we can manage our events in a way where, cool, let's get them all energized, let's get them present, let's dive into a deep process. And then when everybody's going through the filth and the muck, I actually consider that the lower part of those ceremonies or those seminars. Cool, it's happened, it's processed, have a way to move it out of here, get it out of our head and out of our heart, get it down on a piece of paper. We do a share, like there's all these techniques, right, in speaking. And then there's usually a break. Let's get them dancing, let's get it moving, let's clean up the room, and then let's come back and be present for the next chapter. And so there's so many tools and techniques to keep things moving, and some speakers do an amazing job at it, and some speakers you can feel when something happened but nothing happened, right? Or nothing happened but something happened.
Yeah. Well, I like the analogy of like, if there's all this garbage, right? Like if we are in deep process and everyone's garbage sacks are out, now it's like, okay, but it's still in the room. So it's like, find a place, even if it's an energetic garbage can, right? A dumpster that you can like throw that energy into a dumpster and it's gone. There's like a portal of like, get rid of it. Like, right? I think if people were to set up that ahead of time too, knowing that some of the work we're doing, and I want to go a little deeper in my summit this year, and we're going to do some breakthrough work, and we're going to need to move that energy out, right? It can't be stuck in there, because then even if you're like, okay, great, now that we just did this heavy work and there's garbage sacks all over, now we're going to do something fun and exciting. Wait, what? How do I go from there to here, right?
Yeah.
And how are we going to dance, and how are we going to do all this stuff when all these garbage sacks are still here, right?
Yeah.
So setting that up for yourself and for your audience so that you're taking care of them. I always love what Bo said to me. It was like, you always know you're in good hands with somebody that you always feel safe. The person speaking makes you feel safe, makes you know that you're taken care of and you're in good hands.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's really what it's about, is that field of safety. And if the speaker is doing a great job of getting everybody to bring their garbage out, but then not processing it, it becomes an unsafe space, because most of us can handle our own garbage. But in a room like that, everybody's stuff is spilling over. Like, and I think most people that have ever been to an event, if there's that one person that starts asking all those questions, they start driving the entire audience in a wrong direction, it'll shift an entire event. Right? So it's the speaker's job to deal with that, but that's also true for energy. It's more subtle. It's not as obvious as that one person that's asking those questions that's kind of maybe slowing down the progress of the event, but it's a very similar thing.
Yeah. And it's something I had to learn, sitting in other people's rooms and watching people have something to say, have a microphone, and then say something was kind of like out there in left field. And then watching the person on stage go, no, not now, and was like, cut it off. And I was like, whoa, I don't want to handle it like that, but I don't know how I'd want to handle it. And then it happened in my event, and I was like, I should have handled it that way. And I got it, but it took me seeing it and then understanding it, and then wanting to include other people, include that person, but also not derailing the whole audience, because that one person can affect the whole room. I remember one time my room shifted and was like, angry at that person. And that doesn't make it conducive to learning and exploring and feeling safe and all those amazing things that we're doing. So yeah, I think it's balancing, as a speaker, balancing your energy, balancing the room's energy, balancing specific people when it comes up, and just kind of like, you kind of are managing that, right? You're taking care of it in a way.
Yeah. And, there's only so much we can do to actually control people one-on-one. And I mean, control them. And I should say support them one-on-one. And if we're doing our stuff properly, if we're managing the event properly, if we're giving everybody the tools and having everybody, I mean, there's a reason that, at certain events we're doing, the whole crowd is doing that in between events. It's moving something, right? And I've been in events where I was the person brought in to manage the energy of the event, and I never got on stage. Nobody knew I was doing this, but it was my job to manage it, and I was reflecting back to the speaker what was happening. And there was this great process that happened at the end of one session, but what the process did, there was like I said, I always give visuals. There was I believe it was a Budweiser commercial at one of the Super Bowls a couple years ago, and there was like this big open pasture and all these cats running crazy across this pasture. And I'm like, dude, that's what just happened at the end of last session, which was perfect for that. When they come back, you need to do something to get everybody back on the same page, headed in the right direction. And so, whoever's doing events, making sure there's somebody there that isn't on stage, that isn't them, that's tracking things, that can say, hey, this is doing great, keep doing it. Or this turned sideways, here's how to course correct. So having a good team involved as well, just so we know what's happening. And actually at my event, you were that person, right? Because I was so busy tracking so many things already that you were able to take care of a lot of the things so that I could be in the back getting ready for the next session.
Yeah. And it's important to have people that can help you, and that, especially I think in doing your own events, it's got to be someone that has a tough skin, that you say, I need this, 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 this. And because you're in Taskmaster, not because you're like, hey, would you please go and fill up the water bottle? If you have
time.
Yeah. No. I need these things done. Don't get your feelings hurt. I'm just taskmaster mode right now. So I'm going to be short and blunt and straight, as I'm also doing a million other things over here. Right. And so having that person to do those things. And I love that when you guys are all around me, I always know that that's being handled. And, going deeper into balancing the energy of the room, I think even people need to pay attention to when you're doing your pitch. This is where the most resistance is probably going to come up. There's going to be people that want your stuff that can't afford it. There's going to be people who are like, oh man, I want to buy this, and my husband's going to hate me if I spend on the credit card. And then this person's over here going, oh, I have all this money in the world, whatever. It's like not a big deal. Like all of that's going on. And the people, and then they're like watching other people, like, is anyone else going to buy? I want to, but I don't want to be the first. And what if no one else buys them? I like the fool. Like all that stuff happens. But if you don't have people that can sit in the room and hold space and clean, like kind of feel like they're like sweeping the energy, swirling it around so that no one's getting stuck there, right? Yeah. And the beautiful thing, those moments are when people have their biggest breakthroughs. I know I have, when my resistance is that high and I'm like, oh, and I'm like, ooh, what's this about? And then I'm like doing my own work and I'm listening, and you have to set that stuff up so that when you are doing that, the people who want to buy are totally just going to go buy. And then the people that are working through it have some space and have somebody kind of like a marionette person, right? Like just kind of moving the energy and saying, it's okay. You don't have to be stuck there. It's all right. And just kind of flowing that.
Yeah. And every chapter of the event leads up to that, right? When somebody asks somebody to marry them, it's every single date. It's all the proof of I'm trustworthy. You want to spend your life with me. We're going to, I'm here to support you and you're here to support me. Everything from the first date forward. And it's true for events as well. And that goes back to that analogy of if there's deep transformational work that happens and you ignore it and keep moving forward, people are still stuck there. Chapters 1 through 10 occur, let's say at an event. Each one of them must be open and closed in a proper way. So that when it's time for somebody to actually make a decision, they're not still stuck at chapter 6.
Right.
And I think that's a big part of it. It's part of the trust. It's part of the energetics. It's part of them staying on the same train. And usually in a room, most people, that's the thing I love about sales is I realized at one point in my chiropractic career where if I didn't communicate properly, there was this guy that left. And I remember this was probably in 2004. It was definitely 2004. And when he left, I'm like, I did a horrible job communicating to him. And at some point in the future, he's going to have horrible back issues. And I felt like it was my fault. And that point forward, I'm like, all I have to do is be good at communicating what I feel is truth. And then it's up to the other person. But, when you're at that point where you're doing sales in the room, it should be that thing where people are so excited. They're like, oh my gosh, like that's exactly what I needed. You're the solution to my pain point. And now I know what to do next. Right. And I think if we carry them along in the right way, if they're allowed to process and let go of the energy and do all the growth that specific seminar has created for them, then when they get there, it's, all the icky stuff's out of the way, and it can just be like, is this a good fit for you? Let's do this, or not. And that's okay as well.
Right. I always feel like you can do this on your own, or you can do this with me. I'm going to have the shortest, fastest, quickest route, but it's up to you. I'm going to give you everything you need so you can go do it yourself. And I know that that's the stuff that gets overwhelming, right? And that's when we're like, oh, well, I need to do this, but I don't know how to start a podcast, right? I need to do this. Oh, but I don't know how to do that. So those are when you're like, does this person have the route to the top of the mountain that I need because these are the steps I want to take, right? It doesn't have to be whether they're the best ShamWow salesman, like buy two, like you were like, and not only does it dice and slice, I used to do that from stage. That was how I used to do sales. And it's so funny to think about it now. And then I went into Roger really taught us that happy, grateful place, right? I'm happy. Mm-hmm. I'm grateful to all of you to being here. And I just want to offer you this warm offer. And then, and then there's these different places. And then there's, hey, and what thing I really resonate with is I'm taking a stand for you. I know I can serve you and I can help you. Please just let me help you. Like, it's not about the money. It's not about me. It's not about, it is, I know that I know how to get you from where you are to where you want to be. And all you have to do is say yes. Let's go. Let's lock arms and do it together.
Yeah. And it's fun, right? Like really leading from a heart of service. I know there's somebody that I did some, I do these free like introductory coaching calls with people. And some people, I refer them to a book and like a nutritionist. And I never talk to them again. Right. And that's okay. It's coming from the right place. Well, I got an email from somebody the other day that our coaching had helped lead into this really positive outcome for this person. And I'm reading the email and my initial response was just like, woo, like I did the out loud arm over the head thing. And there's something really wonderful just about helping people get where they're wanting to go, and I think what's true about us a lot of times is we want for them what they want for themselves. And, just finding a way to make it easy for them. And we have to get ourselves out of the way as well, right? We have to process our energy. We have to deal with all of our stuff so that we can be present just to share a clean message and allow people to make a decision with as few just energetic and emotional distractions as possible.
And it's bringing up something that I've probably never shared out loud, except for with you guys, was the first time I did my big pitch on stage. And that night I was in my room, and the next day I knew as the pitch was coming up, and all of a sudden I'm like anxiety ridden. I'm like, what if no one buys? What if no one likes me? I don't know. Like all this stuff started coming up, and it was like uncontrollably crying and having hysterics. And I was all by myself in my hotel room. Right. And I just remember thinking, oh my gosh, I'm a wreck. I can't even get on stage tomorrow. And I remember showing up that morning like, I need you guys in the room. Oh, I don't know how to do this. I don't know how to shift out of it, right? And I remember sitting there in the bed that night going, do you think Brendan cried his first big time he had to do with a pitch? Do you think Roger cried? All this stuff. And it was funny because later when I talked to Roger's team, she says, oh yeah, there's been times where this stuff has happened. And I was like, I'm not alone. Like, I'm thinking this is because I'm a woman. Like, I don't want to be that hysterical woman because she's about to sell. But know that stuff, even for me, gets scary, right? Doing a 5-figure pitch from stage for the first time is not the easiest thing. And it can kick up a lot of things for you to go, what is this really about? Is it my value? Is it my worth? And I love that having the team of you, all of the people that come to support me in that is also in your event, so that you're cradled too. And that if you're having those moments, they can hold space for you and help you move and shift and reflect back. No, that's that little voice in your head that's talking to you. That is not the truth. And don't listen to that. Listen to us. We see that your big, bright, beautiful self. You're doing amazing. Stop worrying about that, right? And it was funny because it didn't happen. It didn't happen that no one bought. It didn't, but it's this fear that comes up, and I don't think anyone really talks about it out loud. So knowing that when you're about to do your pitch, you got some stuff in your energy field too, and just like, you know what? I need to be so unattached to if people sign up or people don't sign up. I'm just unattached, because what I truly was, I built this event to serve these people. So I'm already doing that. So why is it that this big offer thing in the middle of it has to be different than that energy that I was doing this whole entire time?
Yeah. Yeah. And we all, we can all feel it when it's happening. And I always refer things back to dating, because, even if you've never done sales, most people have gone on a date, and like the whole date's amazing. And then you're hoping to get a kiss goodnight and you get all freaky, all weird, right? Like it just like we all have those areas where we do it. And I love a coach of mine told me, you're a coach on courage. What are you going to courageously do to lead and model that in what you're doing right now? And so at a transformational event, you should be going through transformation on the stage as well. And at that event, that was your growth edge, right?
Totally.
Only take people where you've gone yourself. So it's really beautiful. And it's nice to have a team, because nobody climbs Mount Everest alone, right? You got to have those Sherpas. So.
And somebody to carry. I would need someone to carry my backpack and carry. I might be a little bougie about it, because I don't know if I want to climb Mount Everest. I'm like, I'm tired, man. Can you carry my backpack?
And there's a lot of people who've climbed Everest that wouldn't want to be on your stage, right?
Totally.
Right. So everybody's got their Everest. And, and for each of us, for some people, it's easy to be on a stage of 700, 1,000, but it's tough to do like a Facebook Live or a webinar, or it's easy to write a book. Like for me, I would much rather speak than put something in writing.
Oh, amen.
And I know there's other people that are like, I'd rather write 100 books than be on stage one time. And so, we all have our places, and then also as a business owner, what's going to best serve the business? There's a lot of people, Brendan Burchard being one of them as well, that he didn't want to be on stage. He didn't want to be doing video. He wanted to be an author.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And that's another way to get the message out. So there's so many tools, there's so many opportunities. And, once we're clear on what's in the heart, the direction we're going, then we get to figure out, what am I already amazing at, and what do I maybe need to do a little cross training around to get in shape for it. So.
And what would you say is one of the main problems that you see people come to you with? What's the struggle that a lot of your clients, or like you're saying, in even these like 30-minute coaching sessions, is what do you think the biggest thing is happening and coming to you, right, when these people are coming to you?
And it's interesting. There's so many answers to go to on that. What is underlying all of it is self-imposed confusion, I would say. Most people, when they start talking, I'm like, you already told me what the answer is, so let's just help you get there by the end of the phone call, right? Because I picture it like standing around a circular city trying to ask how to get to town square. And it probably wouldn't be a town square in a circular city, it'd probably be a town circle, but you get the point, right? And people just keep walking around the outside wall going, oh, which way do I go? Oh, we go left, right, left, right. Oh, and then they go to the next one. Which way do I go? Oh, well, this one, it's straight, left, right. Like we stay in the same place and keep asking the same question for days, weeks, months, or years. And then we're so confused because we haven't taken motion. So most people show up, they know what they could be doing, what they should be doing, what they want to be doing. And it's just helping remove a little bit of the garbage and then getting them to have the light bulb go on so that they can take those next steps. And then the world opens up, right?
Yeah. And I think you are such a catalyst for people getting the courage. Like, I already know the answer. So there's where I'm supposed to go. And now you've given me clarity to that's where I'm supposed to go. So I'm clear on that now. And now it's like, but I don't know how to get there. And how do I step? How do I walk? I don't even know how to walk. What's going on? And you're so good at you're like the king of metaphors. And you always can take, when people are that confused and that scared and all that, and just take it and bring it down to like, hey, it's like dating, bro. Right?
Yeah. Yeah. And we've all done huge things. And then we make the next thing be like, there's no way I could build a space shuttle. Nobody can build a space shuttle. But you can do the next 2 steps to moving towards that, right? Like it's always just the next 2 steps, and then I love like modeling, mentoring, and coaching. I can model how to be, a fit homeowner from the dude down the street. I can have him be a mentor, and then I'm working more directly to find out how he actually does it. Or I can get a coach that, will take me the shortest, fastest way to get there and help me, get out of my own way. And there's just so many ways. There's not a lack of information at this time. There's a lack of, stepping,
action,
and following through.
Yeah.
So with the right things, there's, 10,000 websites that might tell you the 10,000 different things, but picking somebody that resonates with you, whether it's their messaging, their book, their product, their online course, or them directly as a coach or a speaker, find somebody that resonates with you so you can trust them and know that they're going to take you where you're wanting to go.
Yeah.
So, and then a good coach, if somebody came to you for a specific thing and it wasn't your gift and talent, you'd be like, oh my God, like I want to help you, which is why I'm going to send you to this other person. So I like it when I go to somebody and they're like, oh, I'm not your best resource, go here, whatever that is. So.
And that's the cool thing about knowing your niche and being able to articulate it to others, support others, because then you might get someone who's like, hey, I want to be a speaker. You're like, that's not my area of expertise, but go see Aaron, right? And then it's this circular virality that we're all helping one another and supporting one another. And I'm telling you, that is the way, that's the biggest key. If anyone wants to take a note right now, this is the biggest note. You want to build a big network, serve others all the time. Somebody walks up and is like, oh, which ice cream do you choose? Vanilla or strawberry? Well, I'm not the expert on ice cream, but this guy is. Awesome. They have respect for you and they remember that you helped them, even if it wasn't helping them into your business or your product or your solution, but you helped them. And so then they remember, and then you show up to events. This is my favorite thing to do. I do this all week long. And then at the end, they're like, oh my God, you have to meet some people before you leave. And there's a line of people that other people are bringing people to me because I serve each and every one of them, even if it wasn't something I served them specifically with my services. And so that's really, truly key. And like you said, doing these calls where you're like, figuring out what the clarity is for them and like, hey, let me bounce some things off of you. Let me find out if you're a good match for me. Those are really important because then you're also serving the world. And even if it's a good dog sitter or something, it doesn't have to relate, but you serve them, they will remember that.
Yeah. And it fills us up, right? Like those calls I get off of that I'm like, wow, I wasn't the person for that person, but I knew the nutrition book and the nutritionist to refer them to. Like I felt it was totally worth my time. I felt amazing. I was energized. I'm like, all right, what's next?
Yeah.
It definitely serves both sides of the equation.
Yeah. So how can people find out more about you and how can they sign up to do an introductory call with you?
Yeah. So drmorganoaks.com is the easiest way to find me. And then right at the very top there is a way to click in and do a 30-minute free call. And it'll kind of ask a little bit of information about what's going on, how I can be of service. And then we just dive in and see what happens. I love doing those calls. And my goal for the year is to personally serve 50,000 people, and the woman that I sent to the nutritionist, like she counts. Like everybody that ends up working with me in some way, like that counts. And so, I'd love to have people go there. And if you're wanting to learn a little bit more, I've also got the 6 keys to learning your top life, to living your top life, and just name an email there. It's like a 45-minute video. And I've had coaching clients who've paid me thousands of dollars that still refer back to that video of takeaways they're living into in their life, which I think that's always the goal, right? Just to put out quality information and be of service.
Yeah.
So,
Well, I'm super excited to have you here. So my last question that I ask everybody, it's my
all right.
favorite thing. It's what would your future self say to you today? So if your future self was to come to you and say, "Hey, Morgan, bro, what's up?" And you're like, "Oh, here's where I'm at." And what would that future Morgan say to you as advice today?
Yeah. You know the answers. It's the framework you're already working with. Keep listening, keep stepping, follow your heart, and poco y poco. It's a little bit each day, little by little, right? Nothing huge gets built in a day. Nothing huge gets built in an all-nighter. It's that discipline to move forward towards that heart-centered, inspired goal. So that would be my message.
I love that. Take
And
little
have
steps.
some fun. Have some fun for heck's sake.
You could have said it. It's all good. I can put an E on this one.
No, we're good. We're good. We made it almost all the way. So yeah, and have some fun, because there's nothing in the future that's going to make it worthwhile to have had a poor experience along the road, right? So enjoy the road trip and have a destination you actually care about. That's going to make it all worthwhile.
And if you're not clear on what that destination is, sign up for a clarity session with Morgan, because he'll help you get clear.
Yes.
And take those little steps. Well, thank you so much for being here. And thank you all for tuning in to the Transformational Speakers Podcast. And we will see you on stage.
Awesome.